Check 1, 2. You know what it is. Episode number 442 of the New Old Heads podcast is in your phone and on YouTube right now. This week, we talked about Nelly and his statements defending his involvement with President Trump's inauguration and what are the ramifications of that, and is he valid in saying any of the things that he said? We also talked about some comments that T-Pain had about Drake and whether he needs to just basically bow out of the game at this point, or whether or not his artistic expression is valid in this new marketplace. We also had to talk about Timberland, the ideas of what he's doing with AI and how it can be seen as just basically stealing from creatives. We had to kind of break all of that down, and shout out to Curtis King for the contribution. We also did music reactions for Larry June and E40, Kev Brown and Ken Starr. Then also we had to do something new from Rick Ross and Pharrell. Once again, episode number 442 of the New Old Heads is available right now. You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads. That's right, New Old Heads episode
442.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The brothers in the building, -1. Shout out to our man, Major 7th, who is, handling some business. That's what he would say if one of us was out, but it's all good. Anyway, you know what? We got my man sitting right next to me, Lonegevity. How are you doing this day?
Doing great. Good to see you.
Yes, indeed. You know what? Once again, not a special guest. He's just part of the crew at this point. Brothers of the night, how you doing, sir?
I'm swell. How are you doing, good brother?
I'm doing good. I don't know if I've ever been swell. But and moving into the month of July, it's hotter than July, of course. My man, DJ Jay Diff, what's good?
Salutations.
Okay, all right.
Stevie Ponytail.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't quite say Stevie. My hairline is intact.
Yeah, my name.
Hairline is perfectly intact.
Mine hasn't been intact since 1999.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of hot, so I got to keep the hair out my face for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So we're going to watch a short clip here in a second of T-Pain in a recent interview with the Crash Test Dummies podcast. T-Pain made some comments about Drake not taking his own advice by making a graceful exit. Apparently, Drake responded to this. I didn't see it. I don't follow Drake or anything like that. But
Drake said that don't listen to anything that T-Pain says regarding him because he's always spoke with him with vitriol.
Interesting. Okay. This is so interesting how online Drake is.
He sees everything.
That's what I mean. So
here's the crazy thing. One thing I learned from Drake, but one thing he hasn't followed his own words. Mm-hmm. Drake said, I want to be one of them people that gracefully bow out and not get kicked out. Drake is like, no, listen, okay, I got another one. Hold on, check this out. Check this out. Y'all didn't like that one? Okay, real quick, just one more. Let me try one more. And then he's the person that he said, he didn't want to be. Mm-hmm. And I learned that from him. Like when he said that, I want to gracefully bow out and not get kicked out. I was like, you know what?
Does T-Pain have a point about Drake's recent approach to releasing music post-battle?
We got to understand Nokia, by the metrics that the music industry cares about, is a hit record. Now, is it something that I've heard out a bunch? I mean, I'm not in those spaces like that anymore. Maybe if I was still at the Casbah, I'd hear Nokia. But I can look at the charts and say, okay, well, this is still a top 20 record, at one point a top 10 record. But, it doesn't have the saturation that those Kendrick Lamar songs that are hits have, So technically, Drake can say, I'm still doing better than 90% of all artists by being able to chart my records. So why should I I can't gracefully bow out when I'm still a hit maker?
I think a lot of that comes from Drake actually himself saying that he's going to take time off. It never does. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, even at the end of the albums, I'm going to take a little time off and reflect and do this, that, and the third. And then a month later, here's another song. It's like, that's not a break. So I understand what T-Pain is saying. I don't think he's in a position to where you can say that Drake is done. Mm-hmm. Where he's not the same type of artist as T-Pain. Now, mind you, T-Pain did dominate the radio for a long time, radio club, whatever you want to call it. But, once the whole death of auto-tune thing kind of came out, that kind of put a little hit on his career. People weren't coming to him for the hooks like they were before. Mm-hmm. And
That's sad.
Drake hasn't suffered that type of loss yet, because even with this whole Kendrick thing, he still has fans that are gonna pay attention and listen to his music. But he does throw a lot of at the wall, hoping that it sticks. Because even before the Nokia came out, he had the Hey There Delilah bull that he dropped, which was like, why would he do that? Especially coming off of a rap battle, there was no reason for him to do that. It's almost like he has to say something just to say something to act like it's not affecting him. But I mean, same token, he is out here to be an artist, so you might as well be an artist while you're here.
I beg to differ. I think that he has taken a lot on the scale of a death of auto-tune type of loss. Unfortunately, that's what lets me know that he's a hit maker, but he don't live his raps. I mean, he might live his raps, but they not his raps. And the only reason I believe that is because, like you said, he don't take time to live. Any artist that's a real artist, they'd have to step away for a minute and live life and then come back and give you some introspective music about whatever it is that they're going through at the time. That's why you always hear him talking about hoes and partying or heartbreak from some young girl that he tired of tricking on. You know what
Pretty
I mean?
much, yeah. Same topics.
Yeah.
His albums all sound the same.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is the people that really rock with him don't care.
Right.
And those same people, regardless of what just happened with Kendrick, are still not going to care. Because he's still topic of discussion right now. There's stuff about his album that's supposed to be coming out called Iceman. I've probably seen 3 or 4 posts about that today. And then as soon as he starts posting on social media, then those become headlines just because he made an Instagram post.
With the plastic surgery.
Oh, that was crazy. That's wild.
And that's what I'm saying, man. Like, I think that's what T-Pain is saying. You know what I mean? Because we've always known him to be somewhat corny. But ever since Kendrick really exposed him to being corny, being corny, it's just more and more corn that you end up seeing. You know what I mean?
Corn and porn.
Yeah, you just continue to see it coming from this dude, and like the records are not really landing like they once did. He came out with that 3-pack, where he dropped with all the extra old videos and stuff like that.
About the hard drive.
Yeah. He dropped that. None of those records really landed. It's some new song that he just dropped with another artist. That's not really sticking, man. Like,
yeah, they were trying to call that the song of the summer.
Yeah, man.
Like, no, nobody's even heard that song.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
It's not good.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Like, and kudos to him for always trying something different. He'll give you something different. But I was completely done on that album with Party Next Door, whatever that Spanish record was, where
I want to meet your madre, say que pasa con your padre, mi amor.
I said, what in the hell is the, and not only that, you put it out, bro.
Because he ain't got nobody on his team telling him that he shouldn't be doing this shit. But
I'm seeing
he's trying to save face right now. He's trying to act like this is not affecting him, which is wild because there's a whole lawsuit going on, and you're still trying to act like it doesn't affect you.
I'm seeing the Kanye level crash out coming from him.
You think it's that bad?
I don't know if it could be that bad.
Man, it's not that bad because he's not really. He's doing everything to himself. You know what I mean? Like that video. I mean that photo with the abs,
the V12.
Bro. Like, man, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, how you gonna drop an ab picture and your abs don't match no other part of your body? You don't just get abs by themselves.
But you gotta do. Yeah, you forgot to buy the arms to go with it.
It's called a core, so you have to work around your core and build it up.
I mean, it's
everything else is going to get. You know what I'm saying? Fit before your abs.
It's just like the women who go out and buy the ass and forget to get the legs to go with it, so they wind up looking like wisdom teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drake has kind of in the last couple of years, even before the battle, been in a bit of. He's always in damage control. Because when he put out that one, I guess, dance club electric album.
Yeah.
At the same time as Beyonce put out hers.
Yeah, something
He
like that.
beat her to it.
Yeah.
But then, like, you know, he's like, at the end of the album, like, he's like, well, let me give you a song with, like,
with 21 Savage. Yeah.
And then let me give you a whole project with 21 Savage. And then, you know, to let you know I can do this and I'm still here. And then I'll do this pop sound or this island sound. But let me jump back over here real quick. It was like, I think Drake's problem has been the consistency, and people are, Drake, if you're going to do an R&B album, let's do an R&B album. Let's get to it.
That's what he needs to
If
do.
you're going to do a rap album, do a rap album. Don't, it's almost like he's apologizing for whatever he does by saying, okay, well, I gave you that because that was kind of what I was feeling at the time. But hey, this is who I really am, guys. Remember me? Remember Drake? Remember Drake?
That's the thing, though. This is something that Kendrick and Pusha both said. He does not know who he really is.
That's what I was going to say. He doesn't have any type of identity out of the corny stuff.
Yeah.
Like, his identity is the corny stuff. So, like, T-Pain kind of does make a really good point. Like, I think, you know, Drake's massive, but, like, if Drake just disappeared for a little while and got his together and then came back with something that was quality again, rather than what he's been doing, rather than all the nonsense, rather than the lawsuit, generally speaking, most people have a short attention span for this stuff, and they're just going to forget it and come back to the music. But he's just like hitting us over and over again with stupid, corny thing over and over. It's just like, I've been over Drake since before it started, but like, so I can't really speak to like if it's too much or not. But like, it feels like it is, but it's felt like it has been for a long time.
You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing. You need to make the people that actually rock with you miss you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Versus
But
just putting out stuff just to be doing it.
I think, but that he's conditioned his people to miss him in 6 to 9 months. So that's not really a thing. Yeah, I don't really think that's the issue. But the thing is, if you're a Drake fan, you are not used to quality music.
Right.
You're used to music for the moment. He'll give you something. You're gonna listen to it for 3 or 4 months, and then you're gonna wait for the next Drake project.
Yeah. And to your point, like, sure, some of his music can be quote unquote quality-esque, but there's a different level of quality when you care about like where it comes from. And I know I'm speaking in like hyperbole or whatever, but like, that's the main difference between like a Kendrick and Drake in general. Like, Drake is just making music to feel cool while he's popular. That's all he's doing.
Even Cole. You know what I mean? Cole will step away for a minute and disappear, and then he will come back and tell you what's going on with him. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna get that from him.
I don't think
Drake.
Yeah.
Wale will do it. All of the people in that class, they do that.
But he's under the tutelage of Lil Wayne, and Lil Wayne's the same way, really, for the most part.
Wayne will disappear. He just don't have nothing else new to talk about.
But it's kind of the
same thing.
Similar though. You know, like, it's like who their target audience is doesn't care about them as individuals. They just care about growth. Just give me the hot. You know, at least that's what it feels like.
And like, I think I said it last time we talked about Wayne and his projects. Like, somebody made a post talking about, they were talking about how nobody from the Young Money camp, none of them grew up with their audience.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you could tell by their music, the type, like, none of the stuff that they talk about, at me as a 42-year-old man, none of that stuff registers with me anymore.
Well, because they tried to, even with Wayne, throw out a remix to one of the songs and put Nicki on it, and people were like, nah, we're good. That's not really what you need to help out your situation right now. And this is where a lot of artists, like, they've studied Jay-Z, but they've studied him to the detriment of, you know, their art. Just like the people who say, well, I don't write, because, you know, and a lot of people start saying that after Jay-Z. No, you need to write. You need to sit down and write. You know, like the people, at one point, remember Jay-Z from like 96 till whenever the Black Album came out, he put out a record every year. You know, now he talked about different things on all of those records. You know, but I don't know if that's the blueprint that Drake is trying to, ironically, trying to follow blueprint. But everyone can't do that. Most artists don't have something interesting to say every 12 months, or you know, and with Drake, it's sometimes 6 to 9 months.
He just feels more like I don't want to call Drake not an artist, but
a product.
He is more of a product. Like, he's more so like it's like, all right, cool. Let's say we're going to put something together. Some people come to the table with something and figure out, like, all right, how can I market this? And some people come to the table and be like, here's how we're going to market it. Now let's make something that fits in this mold. Mm-hmm. And that's what Drake is. He's a product, and I feel like Wayne has been recently as well too, but maybe not always, but that's how Drake always has been, as opposed to like, again, not to compare him, but it's when you look at Kendrick is giving you a different part of him. Mm-hmm. And then they are marketing it in the particular type of way. Drake is just coming at it to say, it's just like, what's going to work right now?
And then he uses other people in media to kind of co-sign him. Just like even when he was dropping those singles, he didn't associate himself with those until people gave him a good response. It's like whatever new album he has coming out, I want to say Maul said Drake got a bomb on his hands. Like he always has to get somebody else to big him up to make him be like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to jump in the water then because somebody else told me to. So I don't know, man.
But it goes back to the product thing, like if you have this piece of art that you want to put out because you're proud of it, then you put it out and you deal with it.
Exactly.
I can't take nothing Maul says regarding Drake serious at all.
Because he gargles him.
Man, damn. He said it, not me, but it's very close to that.
But even when you think about Kendrick, honestly, after Mr. Morale, I thought he was going to be like hip hop Sade. We might hear from him. We might not. Mm-hmm. He was going to be in the mountains with.
We might get that now, though.
Yeah. But especially now that he's taken more financial control over his music. He's made so much money in the last year. With basically his music being licensed or whatever under his name. And this tour that's destroyed, just done huge numbers everywhere. It's gone. Now he's definitely somebody that does not have to rap to eat. But Kendrick is one of those people. If you call him out from the mountaintop like Drake did, he's going to answer you. Unless you're Joey Badass.
I was about to say, you got to be a worthy. I think he only said anything about him is just because that's something he been waiting for.
Right.
Like, oh, you. I've been waiting on that. Yeah. So God bless, man. And truth be told, that didn't really happen either. He just felt slighted. Because he didn't do that. He didn't do that verse, and then he came out with him and Cole did that. Cole apologized.
Cole's like, I don't want to fight no more. I don't want to fight no more.
I'm glad he did, though.
Yeah,
I'm glad he did because it would have been bad for him.
Yeah,
but that's a great example of like
reading the room,
like the Cole, Drake, Kendrick thing. That was a three-person thing for a while when this all dropped, and Cole bowed out. Gracefully said nah, and then just left it roll. And now he can come back, and he can come back under the good graces of pretty much people are still they're gonna mumble and stuff, right? But like
he dropped that diss that really didn't,
and he took it off.
Yeah,
he's like,
he literally deleted it. Like it said, might delete later.
It was like did delete later,
but he also dropped I remember because I did a remix of the Port and the Port one.
Yeah,
it was a good record. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. That's the example of that's the other side of it. Maybe. What about this other question? Do you guys think that an artist can stick around too long in today's hip hop culture?
If you do it right, no. Because again,
and is Drake an example of that?
Of sticking around too long? Yes. Only because he has not taken time away. Like, you got to make people miss you. You know what I mean? Like, it's people waiting for a new Jay-Z album.
Yeah.
It's people waiting on, people were waiting on new Nas albums. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Somebody somewhere might be waiting on the new Jim Jones album. I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
With the way that with the way the algorithm works, though, you know, like, and how like the modern day fan kind of is, like even us, as we're kind of accustomed to, you know, adapting how the internet and everything moves now. Like, if somebody doesn't give me something, or if they are giving me too much, it's very easy to turn somebody off anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So
it depends on how much you really rock with them, though, because Currency can drop something 3-4 times a year, and I'm gonna listen every time. I mean, Larry June, same thing. Primo Rice.
depends on the type of artist they are, the type of stuff they put out, and
if it's quality, you know what I mean? Because Currency, he not gonna go outside. Currency do the same that Drake do somewhat, but it ain't corny to me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
He just does himself,
pretty much.
To the extreme.
I've grown accustomed to what I'm gonna get from him. You know what I mean?
But I would also say that Currency's music feels like it's actually him. Drake's doesn't,
because it's not.
Yeah,
he's not trying to hit every bucket or trying to satisfy everybody. I think when it comes to an artist, as far as rap is concerned, rap, hip hop, whatever you want to call it, it all depends on the artist and what they're there for. If certain artists can continue to put out things, and it's going to always make sense because they're not making music for the moment necessarily. They're making music for that time in their life. It's like it's a story. The story is building up, and you keep on giving somebody the same you but different parts. You know what I'm saying? Versus rinse and repeat the same style, the same album. Lil Baby just had that probably his last album just came out off the success that he had. They ain't rocking with it, and it's because after a certain time, even if your sound is the same and it doesn't evolve to the best of you or what people are requiring, like in the club or street, whatever, and they just be like, I'm cool. Just like you just brought up Lil Wayne. Nobody likes the Lil Wayne album.
It might be a couple.
It might be a couple, but I mean,
those are hardcore fans.
Those are also people that didn't grow.
They didn't grow either.
It's like,
yeah. But like, would you say that Wayne should just be done from here on out and just be a legacy artist?
No. The thing is,
I think it depends.
I think Lil Wayne needs to do, and like, Lil Wayne doesn't need to listen to me. He's got millions of dollars. I got to clock in tomorrow, so I know there's people and be like, oh, who you gonna tell Lil Wayne what to do? But artistically,
some people need to tell him what to do.
Artistically, I hate to liken everything to Jay-Z, but if anything, you've seen how the story ends with Jay-Z, and how he is a respected artist and he has a musical legacy that cannot be. I mean, he has some misses there, but by and large, Jay-Z has grown up with the people he initially served as an artist, and he doesn't come around just to say he's doing music. Like at this point, he's not really trying to make product. When you think about 444, I know it was tied to Sprint or whatever, but as music, it wasn't like Jay-Z wasn't chasing hits. He wasn't like, oh, this is going to be for the radio. This is going to be for the strip club. This is going to be for West Coast sales. He wasn't doing that. It was a full-on personal artistic expression. If Drake wants to continue to be in this space of hit making, then he really needs to dedicate himself to that and stay away until he knows he has some certified bangers.
Not that type of artist though, because even if you listen to when he first came out, he actually sounded different. He rapped different and everything. He had
like
a video
Banks.
or song on even before that, he had a video on 106 in Park.
Oh, Replacement Girl.
That went trash. And then he reinvented himself, so to speak, or just got some people that kind of helped guide him in the right direction. That's when he kind of started talking about being a fan of Fontaine and all of them, and he was trying to put on his backpack at that point in time. And then
that was the best Drake.
That was the best Drake.
Comeback season is still it's kind of hard. And look, his initial run, I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, but he was trying to play in everybody's playground. That's the point I was trying to get to. He started out one way, he pivoted, tried to align himself with some people that could really rap. He got Wayne's attention, switched his style up again, was heavily inspired by 808 and Heartbreak. That's what made that tape as popular as it was. I mean, granted, it was a good release, but
two best Drake projects.
Yeah, but you can't deny that it was inspired by Kanye West at that point in time. And then from there, he had some good stuff, and then it was just all the same. But you dropped an album called Nothing Was the Same, because it's not the same as the stuff you were doing before, but now everything else is the same going forward. And it's like he's just trying to find the popular bucket, so to speak, I guess. It's like he wants to be the popular kid at all point in time and doesn't know how to just stay away from the game. I don't know.
But you brought up Currency, and how much music he puts out. Currency super serves his audience.
Mm-hmm.
And if nobody else pays attention, he's fine with that. As long as the people who like Currency like the records that he puts out, then he's good. You know, Drake is not, he's trying to super serve the world, and it's too hard to do that because it's, you know, you can't just do it with one sound or do it with one subject matter. You know, so Currency can do that because he knows he's got these. They may not be a huge group of people, but I know these people rock with me whenever they see my name pop up, you know, in whatever their streaming service is.
He pretty much has his own subgenre at this point.
So that's, you know, so he has that. And so like when he wants to be as prolific as he is, it makes more sense.
It goes.
You know, when you're trying to be this multinational hit maker and you're just trying to satisfy and chase trends, it's a lot harder to do that because when you miss, you stumble in front of the world and sometimes it makes you look crazy.
I think it goes to what Lone said earlier, man, is that Drake is a product. That's why you get these records that you do from him, you know what I mean? Because the machine is feeding him these records. It's just like an R&B artist like Beyonce. Beyonce's not writing those records, you know what I mean? Somebody's giving Beyonce these records and then they turn them into hits, you know what I mean? Like she has a team of writers. And not to say she doesn't write all of her stuff, but for the most part, you know, it's people like Taylor Swift. It's the same way. These people are writing these songs for her, and then she goes and makes them what they do. You know what I mean? Like
That's part
just
of
what
the problem
Drake
too,
is.
though, because Drake wants to be considered a hip hop and rap artist, and you know, hip hop and rap weren't the ones that were doing that. R&B, pop singers, pop, those have always been people that use somebody else to pen their records. They're chasing hit records. They're coming up with albums that kind of stick to that notion of we're trying to, you know what I'm saying, go on tour with this. We need hit records. That's their formula. Drake's thing is he wants to be both. He wants to be king of rap, hip hop, and pop. And you can't do that. It's just not working for you.
It worked for a long time.
It did, but it's just not anymore.
Yeah.
Because there's always somebody coming up and nipping at, you know, there's always somebody younger, faster, and stronger. You know, it's just like when you are.
Well, when you play that type of game.
Yeah. It's like being a running back in the NFL. Like, you know, you can be dominant from the time you graduate from, you know, your first rookie season until you hit about 30 years old. And there's always something that happens to once a running back hits 30. You know, if he hasn't got his accolades and his championships, it's really hard to be a running back over the age of 30. You know, I remember there was a dude who was a beast. His name, he played for the Vikings, named Robert Smith. And he knew this. And he retired from the Vikings at the top of his game at 29.
Barry Sanders did it at 30.
Yeah, oh yeah, Barry Sanders. But that was because the organization was trash and they weren't surrounded with no talent.
Well,
but
partially,
you know, but like you said, like, you know,
you're talking about the Vikings. I mean,
well, that's true. Yeah, but it's hard. Man, in hip hop, sports, it's hard to reheat French fries. You got to look at it like that.
Yeah.
And once you're cold, it's so hard. Like maybe get an air fryer real quick and throw them in there and they'll crisp up a little. But it's hard to maintain that.
Yeah. Okay. So the
baby girl
is the consensus that an artist can stick around too long and has. So
if they want to, if Jay-Z was, or Nas or whoever was still trying to chase their hit making days, that's staying around too long.
Yeah.
You know, but now if you get to a point where you're lucky enough to where you don't have to rap to eat and everything can be about an actual personal artistic expression, you can stay around for as long as you like.
Yeah.
But if your Drake is knocking on 40 and he's still trying to compete with people who are just out of high school, you know, making whatever kind of records that play in the club ad nauseum or whatever plays on the radio every 45 minutes, he's going to have it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. I'll just
Smokey Robinson dropped a new album last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no such thing as staying too long. To his what he just said,
Smokey might stay around too long.
Hey,
I mean,
his fans listen to that song.
Gang banging.
Yeah, his fans listen to what was it?
Gasms.
Gasms. Yeah, his fans. It was. I know my granny was probably somewhere touching myself.
Well, okay, wow. They ain't got no business listening to an album called Gasms. But
Man, please, old people, they
like to do their thing too.
they might, but
hey, diddle diddle.
he
Click and mice.
he named his album Gasms.
Yeah.
We ain't got no since listening to an album called Gasms.
I don't, you know what I mean?
Not sung by Smokey Robinson.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know, man. I'm more so on the if an artist is still creating at a high level that makes sense, then continue to create. Continue to be an artist.
I think create's the key word there, though.
Yes.
Like create.
Yeah. If you're still chasing and going to the high school football game when you graduated 5 years ago,
Which you're painted on abs.
R. Kelly.
then
Okay.
you might want to stick away.
He did, but
that's true.
he was started to stay too long like that. Like those last couple albums, you know what I mean? It sounded
they were misses.
Yeah, they sounded.
Yeah.
What the Oreo song,
Yeah,
Oreo
that
record on
was-
that
that
stuff? Like,
This is my story.
Yeah.
You know, like, but
Yeah.
but you know what was good? You know, outside of all the controversy with R. Kelly, when he did like the Sam Cooke record, when he was trying, when he was doing songs that sounded like the
Turn back the
audience,
hands
his
of time.
audience, yeah, like, but when he was trying to like chase trends, it was like, come on, dog. First of all, you got enough problems.
what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member. All details on newoldheads.com. Nelly has come out and defended Trump in a roundabout way.
Again.
Yeah, I mean, not directly. But he doubles down on his choice to perform at the Trump event that happened, was it around the inauguration?
It was basically during the inauguration, yes.
Yeah. So he has called out supporters of Kamala Harris as he continues to face backlash for supporting at an event for Donald Trump's inauguration. And he also has said stuff along the lines of, me and Snoop do more for the community and have been doing so for over 20 plus years.
Bring Snoop into the mess.
Snoop
like,
already
what the hell you
saved
say
his
my
face.
name for?
Yeah, Snoop already saved his face.
Yeah.
He also said on Instagram, some of y'all have a problem with us because the prosecutor, Kamala, who has probably locked up more black men than we've helped women of color with, the white husband and white kids do not win the election. I don't fully understand that, but I understand it. Like, this, it's not a very good sentence, but
Yeah, he didn't use ChatGPT to write this. You can tell.
yeah, that's true. He added, I did not campaign for anyone. I do not tell people who to vote for. I respect and love our country from top to bottom, good and bad. And I'm very aware that it's a lot of things we need to work on. The right is too right and the left is too left.
What?
I agree with that part.
Let's
The
talk
right
about
is
it.
the right and the left is the left.
The
It's
right
too
is
far.
too right and the
Too
left
right
is too
and
left.
Let's talk about it then.
Okay. See, the thing is, I wish everyone was as transparent as Soulja Boy. Because Soulja Boy said, hey, man, I did it for the check. Nobody else called me.
Yeah.
And I wish Nelly and Snoop would have said, I did it for the check.
Snoop kind of did, though.
I mean, yeah, I think he said something like that on the Breakfast Club. But then I think the thing that's most problematic and bothersome is he starts to run with these talking points that are kind of from people in the margins, if you will. Like, well, she got that white husband and she was a prosecutor and threw all these black men in jail. And it's like, these are all things that have been debunked. I mean, she does have a white husband.
Yeah.
But, Nelly, you are in the entertainment industry and you are around a lot of athletes. That's not really the thing you should be bringing up is people who are married to non-black, who have a non-black spouse.
Yeah.
I don't think that's in 2025. That shouldn't be something that you are bringing up to try to. I think that's it. She was trying to make that a shot against Kamala's character, and I think that is really bad. And I think that's a poor choice of words. Because it's like, okay, if you have a problem politically with her, then be more specific and more learned about the things that she has done that you politically do not agree with.
Yep.
Okay. That'd be like if somebody asked me about Nelly's music and I said, Nelly's teeth look like baby shoes. Which is kind of strange considering he don't want to change babies' diapers. And people were like, wait a minute, what does that have to do with Nelly's music? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to St. Louis. I know somebody's going to be mad.
I was about to say, you from St. Louis now.
But, you know, I like I said, I just am bothered. I'm bothered specifically by that, by him deciding to run with these talking points that he might have gotten, you know, when from Dr. Umar or Tariq Nasheed. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed. That's somebody I actually kind of rock with, even though I don't agree all the time. But like, this was a running narrative by a lot of people who didn't want to do their research, you know, during the course of the election, even going back to when she was the vice presidential candidate. It was like her white husband and her time as a prosecutor. And I think when he even refers to her as the prosecutor, that's you trying to engage a certain group of people who, you know, I don't want to say are in the streets, you know, be like, yeah, we can't trust any kind of law enforcement. And, you know, you threw her in that bag. Now, I'm also thinking, you know, big picture, regardless of what you feel about her politically or the misguided things you said about, you know, her family and her personal life, you got to understand, like, Kamala is a part of an organization of women who wear pink and green.
Yeah, they don't play that shit.
They spread a lot of money around. They have the ear of a lot of people who are in and out of the entertainment industry. And this is something I don't know if he'll have the wherewithal to do it, but he needs to walk this back, especially talking about if you, like I said, when you were in the entertainment industry and you're around athletes and you're going to try to make a point about perhaps your blackness because you're married to a black woman.
He's not married.
Or whatever.
I thought they got married.
Whatever they're doing. And, you know, part of how you can, you know, you elevate what you're saying is more credible because the person you're talking about is married to someone outside of their race. I think that's a bad look. That's a bad look, Nelly.
Well, I'll let you guys chime in here, but he follows up with saying, I'm a military baby with a grand uncle who is a Tuskegee Airman and Red Tail that was very prideful in this country. I told you it's respect for the office, meaning any president that calls on Nelly, it would be an honor. Nothing to do with money.
Everything.
Nothing to do with race. But if you want to make it about race, then let's go. I find it very interesting that so many of you would dump on two black men that's married to black women that has black children because of the woman of color with a white husband and white kids didn't win. So that's the continual quote.
He is no stranger to protest from women.
You know what I mean? Went through that at Spelman.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's all I had to really put in there.
There might be some resentment towards that as well.
Maybe.
But
based on what it was about, yeah. Because we kind of had addressed that at one point in time, thinking that was one of the reasons. Was his sister?
Yeah, his sister.
She needed Jackie, God bless the dead. She you know, she needed his bone marrow testing.
Yeah.
You know, and I had my issues with them. You know, it was like, okay, you didn't like the tip drill video. Fine, but like this, sometimes there's a bigger picture.
And you guys are talking specific because you guys are talking about when Nelly canceled something.
Exactly.
Or he got canceled because of the tip drill video.
Yeah.
When you talk about the Greek, you know what I'm saying? People that align with that. But I don't know, man. I think he kind of pretty much hit everything on the head. I don't have a whole lot to say about this Nelly situation because, I mean, it's just things that he's saying is just. No,
baseless.
It's just baseless, and he's not gonna pull any of this back. And I mean, he's at a point in his career where, I mean, I think he has a television show with Ashanti now.
Yeah, so
that's why this is all kind of came out.
Yeah, it's a rollout.
Yeah, this all has to do with that. Again, this is one of them situations where people will be upset for a little while and then it'll blow over.
Yeah,
I don't think people really care that much about what Nelly has to say because I mean, he's already showed his hand. He stated what he was going to do, didn't care. He got on there and did it, and it's just baseless. And I hate that he's bringing it back to this makes him more American than anybody else just because he decided to do this.
It's this
and
false.
Then, and then you go back to, well, since you want to make it about race, and it's not about race, but you just made it about race. I think it was more so about the individual that you were supporting. Not necessarily Kamala losing.
Yeah,
that's my basis on it. But people are going to run with their own narratives, especially when it comes to politics. It doesn't matter what kind of facts are on the table. If somebody says something that you felt like believing, they're not going off facts. They're going off whatever the mass majority of people that align with that system agree with, and they keep saying the same shit. So, I mean, I don't really have much to add other than that was just stupid.
Okay.
You know, when he talks about the whole, I have family in the military,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a lot of times people will use the military, their military involvement, or even their family's military involvement to kind of as a deflection away from seeing things that they know are wrong. You know, my grandfather fought in World War II as well. You know, they handed my grandmother, you know, the American flag at his funeral. You know, that does have a certain meaning for me as well. But we know too much.
Yeah.
Okay. If you read enough and you have watched the news enough about what Donald Trump has been doing, or his administration, if you will, because a lot of times I don't think he's even aware of the things that are done on his behalf. You know, if you want to talk about, you know, respecting the military, Nelly, let's talk about how they've been taking black soldiers' records off of military websites because it would be considered DEI. You know, let's talk about how the black Joint Chiefs has been removed. The 5-star general was removed and replaced by a 3-star general, which is, of course, a 3-star white general, because, you know, the black guy must have been there for DEI. And so let's put him out to pasture and replace him with somebody who is not as qualified as he is, because there's never been a 3-star general appointed to that position. You know, so but you know, he hasn't done the research. There's a lot of people that don't want, we've talked about how people don't want to answer the follow-up questions. Mm-hmm. You know, he doesn't know that they removed, you know, the black woman who was over the Library of Congress saying that she was distributing materials, you know, that encourage LGBT behavior, not knowing that you can't check out books from the Library of Congress. You know, there's all these things that if you really wanted to do the research, you could do it. But Nelly's not interested in that. He's just this is about him. It's not about us. And artists, a lot of times, especially if they've been extremely successful and made themselves extremely rich through their talent, which Nelly has done, they live in a bubble. And, you know, they don't have to live with the consequences of what's happening by these Supreme Court, you know, decisions that are happening that are just giving too much power to the executive branch. Yep. And, you know, this big, beautiful bill that basically just passed that is going to kick about 14 to 20 million people off of their health care.
Yep.
You know,
people such as myself.
Yes. So, you know what? So if you want to make it personal, like, I'll make it personal. Or if I want to talk about the facts and what's really going on out here, you know, but you can't say these things and not expect any blowback, especially when there are people who have done the research and who are affected by what this, you know, you can say, oh, I did it for the office. Look, at this point, when people say, oh, it's an honor to be invited to the White House. At this point, no, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And people can get mad at me about that, whatever. But if I was on, I don't know, if whatever team wins the championship and they say, hey, you want to come to the White House? I'd be like, no, I'm good. I'm not going.
Yeah, I think stuff like this.
I know too much. At this time, we know too much, guys. We know too much, Nelly.
I mean, stuff like this, when somebody like Nelly in this particular thing, he makes the stance that he does. To Jay's point, just say that you wanted to take the money. Just say that.
We would all understand that.
And it would be over. But the fact that he has to try to make it political means that I have to talk about it. And Jay has to talk about it, because all these things are very, the stuff, even when he says like the right is too far right and the left is too far left, you said you agree with it. I think that's bullshit. And I think that's just pandering because he doesn't want to go further down the line. He wants to stand right in the middle of this shit.
That's most people though.
I know.
That's not me.
I know. It's not me at all.
Not me.
It's not me at all. Like
right now, the right is so right that it is really going to hurt a lot of people. You know, I'm one of those people who, I'll give you statistics to see where, like, you know, realize 4 out of every 10 births in this country is covered by Medicaid. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if they cut that, and they're so worried about, you know, these women who delete their children, it's like, okay, either I pay that money to have that happen, or I wind up getting in crippling medical debt to have a child.
Yeah.
So now you're putting people who may not even want to make that kind of moral decision into the
Making
place
them go
where they
through
have
it.
to make a financial decision.
Yeah, but even for like the positing, I'm a left person, so the idea and that is routinely suggested that we have two extremes on both sides is just so
Represented.
It's
wrong.
not. It's not true at all. It's almost like laughably true because we don't actually have left representation in the United States of America. And so when you look at the political parties of the Democrat and the Republicans, who both more align to the right, like they both align to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's actually left over here is like, what are y'all talking about? And so when Nelly makes a statement like this, it's like it's just pandering. It's just like you don't know what you're talking about. And it's all in the sense like he's saying it to defend his whole thing. But like if you don't know, then you don't need to be speaking on it because it just makes it worse for everybody else. It perpetuates this long lie. Yeah, I am very political, so this is what it is. But
Hey,
like,
well, damn.
but what do you think about like why? I want to ask you that question.
Yeah, well, you can have a rebuttal.
No,
You know,
yeah, I'm not-
I'm saying, why y'all cooking this nigga like that? That's what I'm saying. Like,
Well, I think
I get it. I get it.
I think it's necessary. I think to me, we in general, as you know, I forget who said it. I think maybe you said it. It's like most people are just kind of passive when it comes to this stuff, and you know.
I think he is. That's why he keeps.
No, he's uninformed. He's ignorant.
He's informed by
I don't think he's
the wrong people.
No, it's like when I've talked about.
He didn't do his own research.
It's like when I talk about people who get all their knowledge from memes.
That's exactly what it is.
Those are the people who are still talking about Kamala being married to a white man and what she did as a prosecutor. Those are the people who haven't done the actual research or even been interested enough to listen to the people who have done the research.
or will just deny the research because
Or just deny the research because, you know, they need those checks to clear.
Yeah. I don't know, like in general, like not to like target you or anything, but when you say like, no, you believe that it's the right's too far right and the left is too far left. What do you mean by that in general?
I mean, like I'm pretty much down the middle, man. Like, and I know there's extremists over here and there's extremists over there. You know what I mean? Because like the last administration really wasn't that great either. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of bullshit over there too.
I think what you're saying is it's not actually the ideology. It's the people that agree or are for this person or for this individual. So you got the people that rock with Trump and you had the people that rock with Biden or
and
Kamala.
the Democratic Party. Yeah.
They are supporters of that individual. That's not when it comes to actually policies and things that people believe in, they could care less. Yeah. It's more so aligning with whatever this person says and what they're doing, and then the same thing.
Yeah, it's gangbanging.
That's exactly. I mean, that's what a political party is at the end
for
of
sure.
the day. But I don't think when it comes down to actual policies and beliefs that I agree with what Lone said. As far as there's not really a right or a left here. There's just
right
people
or
that,
wrong.
It's shades
there's
of right.
just people that
shades of people on the right.
Yeah, that's all it is. Like the way that I always like to describe it, I'm not going to go deep into this, is like most places in the world, the left is socialism ideologies and the right is capitalism.
In America, it's
all
mostly,
capitalism.
Yeah.
Like even our centrists are to the right. Even Bernie Sanders is considered central.
Capitalist.
Central a little bit to the right. You know, like democratic socialist. But like you could actually say he's a little bit to the left, maybe. But we just don't have a balance. So a lot of the narratives that I always see, especially in like defending a lot of these policies that are horrible, you know, especially like the immigration policies and stuff like that. Again, we're off on a tangent here, but like it's all very reactionary. It's all very, there is not a strong enough movement on the left-hand side to be able to stop a lot of the stuff that Trump is just enacting right now.
Because they don't even agree with a lot of the stuff he's doing right now.
But it's just like the people that are like kind of normal. I feel like I generally feel that most of us generally align kind of in the middle and maybe probably slight to the left outside of when it comes to like social related stuff and caring about people. I think most people care about people regardless of what they put out there.
Yeah.
But then all the other stuff kind of gets in the way. Wanting to be an allegiance, align with a certain party, wanting to be a Democrat or wanting to be a conservative or wanting to be a businessman or wanting to be these things, and we kind of align ourselves with these ideas, these things instead of like where we actually like, because we want to fit into a category or something. But yeah, to bring it all back around, like stuff like this, like I almost didn't bring this up as a subject because I knew it would get political, but whenever stuff like this is represented from somebody who's in hip hop, it's just kind of like,
how do we not say anything?
How do we not say anything? And I just feel like I feel like it's from somebody like Nelly. I feel like, what's the word I'm looking for? I feel it's, he needs to do better.
It just doesn't surprise me, honestly. That's when a lot of these artists, especially somebody in his position that has been very successful. Again, we talk about capitalism. The party that is going to more so support what he's doing is going to align with the right. You know what I'm saying? So, and these are people that a lot of these rappers have rapped about and aspire to be as well. That's why a lot of times it does not, especially when it comes to subject matter of some of these people that rap about. He's never talked about social injustices and things of that nature.
Maybe he has. I don't know. I think the only thing that stands out to me is the fact that he doubled down on it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Because just to have a statement and to be not as learned or whatever.
That's in right now. It's in to stand on what you say now. And it's not going to, obviously it didn't affect him. It didn't affect him negatively when he did it the first time. He got a show out of it with his wife. I guess he is married to her.
Yeah.
About their with including their child as well. So, I mean, it's not affecting these people's bottom line. If anything, it's getting other people to pay attention to him.
Right.
True.
That weren't paying attention to him in the first place.
There's a rollout.
But the thing is, even if he wanted to say, hey, I did this because I respect the office. I had a grandfather who was, a red tail or whatever. Okay. But then when you bring in Kamala's white husband and, then you start running with the meme knowledge, then it's like, all right, now we got to cook you a little bit, because if you didn't have the knowledge, then we're going to give it to you. And like I said, it was a short sheet of things that I just could pull from, my brain while we're sitting here talking about things where if you are about your grandfather's legacy, you should be bothered by the things that he's done or have been done on his behalf to Black veterans and how they've been erased from the Department of Defense's website.
Yeah, like you can honor your grandfather and also be realistic about what is happening
in the country.
That's the thing that it's also kind of jumps out to me.
I've got 2 words.
Sure.
Gotcha.
Where's Ja? Because ultimately, for me, this is that. It's Ja Rule talking about politics. Nobody gives a for real. You know what I mean? Like, okay, he just proved he's an idiot. So,
or just like I don't even say he's an idiot, but it's just like
he's not informed.
He's not like he doesn't sit down and read the paper every day. He doesn't understand what's being passed through Congress and the Senate. These are not things that he's got a TV show and a kid to raise and teeth to brush. He's got to do these things, and he doesn't have the time to. I'm sorry. All celebrities, if you're going to get out here and get your teeth done, I understand. Look, I would get a couple of my teeth fixed if I had the money like that, but I'm not going to get the extra larges. Get the teeth that would actually fit in your mouth. This needs to stop. Noriega, you two, I don't know where you got that hairline
mouth
or all them chiclets. Like it doesn't look realistic, especially when you point HD cameras at it.
Yeah.
So that was a tangent. I'm sorry, but but for real, like
I got a lot on my mind right now. I wish I could have articulated everything a little bit better, but I think overall, like it's not really surprising. I don't like the fact that he doubled down. And I just wish we cared more about this stuff. That's all.
Yeah.
All right. So now the last topic that we have here is kind of there's a lot. So Timbaland is stealing again.
Mm-hmm.
Timbaland is a kleptomaniac, apparently.
And not a good one.
Yeah. So he's been caught again stealing using his, what they call baby Timberland AI from Suno. Curtis King spoke with singer-songwriter producer, I think it's Zara Scully, about her unfortunate situation with Timbaland and her viral post highlighting what sounds like AI music trained off of her voice without her permission. Now, what I didn't realize is when we missed a week, we were going to actually talk about Timbaland it was the week that you guys came over, but we didn't talk about it. When he essentially stole Cuddy Fresh's music as well. So we got two little things here to talk about. Let's talk about. Maybe I'll just play both videos.
Yeah, let's play both of them.
And then let's just make it a segment because there's a lot going on. So here's the first one.
About to bring tears to my eyes. God, wow.
Gassing her up.
Hear that?
Find out you're just a hurt one.
Got one.
This is what you call greatness.
And that was the first time I ever played it for anybody, was on that live. And I wrote that record like so personally, and I've held on to it for like a year. He was so excited about my music, and you know, he said he prayed to God about me, and I was right under his nose the whole time because I had known him for years. I wanted to believe it. I would answer when I was even serving tables at work. And he's like, we got to get you like a videographer to your job and serving tables and like tell the story like, because you won't be there long kind of thing. He put this song Suspicions into his AI, which is Baby Timbo. And he was on the next day on March 8th calling me being like, I changed your voice. Like I had a different accent. Like I was a man at some point. And he was having fun. And at first I was like, this is cool. Like I didn't realize the whole weight of it all, you know?
This is something that you granted him permission to do?
I didn't really understand anything. I was just excited to be on FaceTime and with Tim. And then it was just a lot of that and then nothing. I was confused. That's all. I was just like, why does it sound like me? And I even commented that. And then a lot of people commented that. He kind of just like didn't really respond. And then when it came out about the AI stuff with Tata, that's why I was like, wait, hold on. That literally sounded like me.
The AI that she's referencing, the Tata, was supposed to be the
AI character.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
okay.
actual AI character that was going to be the front woman AI of his AI label. So it looks like it potentially might have been trained on her. Now, here's another video. This is K-Fresh, Cuddy Fresh. I think he's out of Seattle. I could be wrong. I don't know. He's super dope. About Timbaland essentially kind of doing the same thing with him in a different type of way.
It's Timbaland. He's one of the greatest of all time. You know what I mean? So there's a level of excitement that I wanted to have from my music to even reach somebody like that. But then there's also a bit of frustration as a grown man because it's like you just saying my name could have went a long way for me. Quite frankly, it's upsetting to continue to be in these situations where I don't feel like I want to say it's the right thing to do, but I think there's a little sense of integrity that like you could have just, if you liked it that much, a little bit goes a long way for somebody like me. Like my feet is still on the ground, bro. Like I'm working for everything and I'm not asking for much, but just that could have been enough. You know what I mean? So
if he's listening, guess who called for that beat? Ghostface Killer. Because of that post.
Why didn't you tell him?
So I'm trying to call him today and say, yo, man, you need to send that beat to Ghostface. I don't get nothing for that. But that post said, yo, God, can you send me that beat? That ain't my beat.
I don't know about you, brother, but I get PTSD from the music industry that I chose to stay away from when I hear that. He said he reached out to you about a possible placement that was going to happen because of him taking your music without permission. Like, what are we talking about? That has to do with a Ghostface Killer. Is that something that you were aware of?
No. For one, where did he reach out to him? My DMs are in shambles right now, so I haven't even got through all of them. But I think another interesting fact is you could have told Ghostface who made the beat. And ironically, Ghostface has my number. I've already sent beats to Ghostface. So Ghostface follows me. So if Ghostface wanted that beat, he could have reached out to me directly.
We can talk about this further, but is this just like further proof that AI can't create anything?
Yeah, it needs something to draw from. Yeah. Man, both of these clips speak to the dangers of just being happy to be in the room with these people, man. You know what I mean? Because ultimately they there to steal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
but I would say that K-Fresh didn't even know.
Yeah.
He took his video directly from like
his
TikTok.
Instagram and then put it. That's the thing that's really, and I'm afraid for that because, you know, I've had instances and situations where sometimes I've been places and I've just been happy to be there. And I've heard my shit. You know what I mean? So somewhere else, you know what I mean?
Many of us have actually been there.
Yeah,
Mike's
man.
been there a few times. I've been there a couple times. Not as serious of stuff. Maja's gonna have to tell his story someday. I don't want to tell it for him, but it's a pretty crazy story. So, but,
you know, I mean, like, I remember I wanted to be happy that My Face and My Voice were on Netflix, but I really couldn't be happy about that.
Yeah,
because you ain't getting no money.
I didn't get no money, and there's no acknowledgement.
No money.
You know, they eventually at least fixed it to say it was the new old heads. But
I think that's the part that was the most frustrating about that, was that they apparently saw the fact that we were upset that they mislabeled us wrong,
And then fixed it.
they fixed it, but they still didn't reach out at all. It's like, all right.
That's wild. What's crazy about this whole Timberland situation is when I look back, Timberland's been doing this for a long
A
time.
very long time.
Because I remember he would go on live and want people to play their music in hopes of getting him to work with him. So he was secretly recording all of this shit that people were playing him as he's hyping them up and putting them in this machine.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Right.
To create this AI music. And like, to your point, can AI create?
I know.
It can create plagiarism.
Yeah.
Evidently, and what's his name can put his stamp on it, Timberland. But at the end of the day, it needs something to reference, and it's referencing this stuff and literally spitting the same thing right back out at you.
But let the people that are pro AI say it, and they'll say, well, it's the same thing as any other type of creativity.
It's not, though.
It's the same thing because instead of it being in like this model, it's just in your head.
Yeah. I can't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Because, I mean, and he's showing, this is like the 4th or 5th example in the past, 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
So there's obviously more than that. He has a whole database full of thievery and deceit that he's going to try to put out for people to listen to and hopefully vibe with. And he's bringing other artists along on this ride because other artists are trying to hop on this wave now too. Literally right before the show, I seen something about Gunna is trying to create an AI artist as well now. And it's like, where is this going to go?
Yeah.
Like, how many people have to be, you know what I'm saying, their creativity stolen from for this to become an issue? And I imagine that since these laws have not been written for this AI stuff quite yet, that once it is written, a lot of people are probably going to owe a lot of money. Because I don't think it's going to be in their favor.
I do know this is a weird connection here. I have an official remix that has come out with an artist who goes by Miss Crystal. She's like a dark pop artist. But she's also got a YouTube channel. She's an attorney, goes by Top Music Attorney. She's been kind of blown up of late. She did a whole interview with like Needle Drop. I saw Curtis reacting to her earlier. And shouts to Curtis King. He was the guy who was interviewing both of these people in this clip. So shouts to Curtis for the work he's been doing. Shouts to her because she's been kind of on Spotify's head for their nonsense. But I believe that she has created a class action lawsuit against Suno and Udio.
Oh, really?
For this stuff because of how it trains and how it's not paying anybody. So it's kind of a cool connection. So shouts to you. I've never met you, but we have an official remix out. So
because now once your voice is a part of the cloud or whatever, like it can't be taken back. It's now part of the training process of creating artificial art.
That's the thing. Like if you used it, you trained it off my music, I want something from it.
Yeah.
Like give me my percentage. If the AI model used 0.0002%, I want my 0.0002%.
If you just like streaming on Spotify.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, like if Drake samples that, all right, cool. 0.0002% of 785 billion streams is a check. Not a lot, but it's something.
It's a check.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, and I don't know, like you said, I don't think you can't put the smoke back into the burnt out electronics. You know what I mean? Like
put the toothpaste back in the tube.
You know, you can try, but I don't know how this is going to be solved. I don't think it's ever going to be correct in the way that it should be.
Nah.
But you know,
I honestly think that people that are doing it right now are going to get off scot-free. This is almost like a PPP loan for them.
Yeah.
Once they create the thing going forward, that's probably going to just gridlock it right there. Okay, from here on out, you can't train AI with artists A, Y, and Z, because then you're going to owe them this, that, and the other. Yeah. It's going to probably fall back to like sampling laws eventually. Mm-hmm. But right now, it's the Wild Wild West because there are no laws in place. Yep. So Timbaland is exploiting the hell out of it right now. And he's doing it in real time because he's literally showing you what he's doing and he's talking about it and telling you exactly what he's doing with this shit. And I think that's more insulting than anything. Because he's literally telling you, your shit's dope, but I'm going to put it in this machine and see what I can do with it. Yeah. And then I'm going to release it. And you still don't have a deal because I don't even think she doesn't have a deal. She was expecting to work with Timbaland. Yeah, expecting personally.
Yeah, I need to watch Curtis's full interview. I haven't seen it yet, but I don't know the full specifics on that.
And she don't got to deal with Timbaland, especially after that interview.
Man, I don't know. This makes me question Timbaland.
Period.
For at least the last 20 years.
That was actually going to be one of my next talking point was. Number one, is there any coming back from this if you're Timbaland? At this point, with the type of like just betrayal to the entire music
creative process.
And music community, like, is there any coming back from this? And two, to your point, which you've mentioned, how long has Timbaland been doing this?
Mm-hmm. Or some form of this.
Yeah, some form of this, not just AI, because this isn't the first thing that we've ever heard about Timbaland stealing beats.
Nah. I think he has this on his reputation forever here on out, honestly. And it's putting an asterisk next to his production credibility. Issued an apology for, I think, one of the artists that we talked about. He had written a post.
K-Fresh.
Was that K-Fresh? Okay, yeah. So he issued that apology. So is he just going to keep issuing apologies for everybody's from here on out?
When he gets caught?
And continue to do it? Yeah, because he's doing this live streaming.
Yep.
We can see you. You know what I'm saying? We can see you and hear exactly what you're doing. So who knows what all else he has in his vault.
And let's not also not talk about this scam of paying Timbaland so he can review your music live on his live stream.
He's stealing. That's exactly what I was talking about. He's literally listening to your dubbing it and stealing it, loading it into this machine and creating with it.
I don't think that I'm going to make the bold claim. I don't really think it's too much of a hot take. I don't think that Timbaland can bounce back from this from a musical producer standpoint here forward. Everything that he puts out from here on out, I think will be questioned.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know about the past.
Yeah.
But you know.
He's going to have to be extra transparent and say he comes out and he does a record for, I don't know who he do a record. Like they do a new Nelly Furtado record and it winds up going to number one. He's going to have to be extremely, he's going to have to show, okay, this is where I started and this is where I ended, because people are going to just assume he stole.
Yep.
That's not, I wouldn't say that's not fair, because it is fair at this point, because we've seen you do this in real time. It's like if somebody,
got no shame.
Yeah. It's like, sadly, what I've got drawn into in the algorithm on my YouTube is people who like to steal out of Walmart. So imagine like you steal out of Walmart, and you're successful with it. You get home with the stuff and you unwrapping it. And then I see you with a new shirt on and you trying to tell me about how you paid for it. Mm-hmm. It was like, no, I see you steal all the time. Yeah. Why would I believe that you bought that shirt?
Well, now your picture's on the window when you walk in the store. You've been that's literally what Timbaland is now. His picture is on the front.
You've been trespassed from the store, but you want me to believe that you paid full top dollar for whatever it is that you say that you bought.
Yeah, he's been spiraling. I think we've all seen that. What's the name? The roulette.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that was not the Timbaland that I grew to enjoy when he created that beat. And mind you, there's been a lot of misses on there here lately, but Timbaland is somebody that I credit as a great producer. Mm-hmm. And what he did on there was not great. And what he's doing now with using people's music is not great either, because you're literally just using their talent and putting your own little spin on it.
He's not been great for some time.
A very long time.
Yeah. And
just at least Blueprint 3, because those are some of the worst. That's some of the worst stuff he ever did.
I also asked the question to you guys, though. Is what he's doing just par for the course? Because Dre uses a team of producers to come up with records that he quote unquote produces.
He credits them though.
And they get paid.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that much.
I mean, the same thing.
That's
with
the difference.
The
That's
same
the
thing
main difference.
with when we talk about Puff Daddy as a producer. When you go through and look at
the credits,
because you can look at the credits, like at least I know through Tidal, you can go through and look at all the credits of who produced what.
And even if they're a ghost producer, they're paid for that, and it's not behind closed doors. It's not like I'm stealing something in that particular type of way.
It's not. Oh, I'll get you next time.
Yeah, it's not like,
Now,
they caught me.
Well,
Let
that's
me,
kind of what Kanye was doing with this last Vulture situation.
Yeah, he got caught up too.
And he got caught up. That's why a lot of those songs can't be streamed.
Yep. It's foul.
Give people the credit so they can go on and do something else. You know?
I think that's the other piece is like, what does it say, about Timbaland's character to like double down on this so heavy? And even like a while ago, he was on a live. I watched part of his live when the first time we talked about this.
Y'all lighting them people ass today, boy. What is it? What about his character? No, it's real. That's a real question.
When he was challenged in this same type of setting that it was like this, and it was Timbaland, but it was on the other side of a live.
Yeah, she
was just barring him up. And he just kind of sat there uninterested the entire time. And so, like, if you have somebody, it's one thing to have, like, some type of remorse, some type of understanding for the thing that you're doing. But if you're going to listen to somebody say, hey, this is wrong for these reasons, and you're just like, nah, I don't, okay.
That's cool.
That's your opinion. Nah, at this point, it's not really opinion,
it's
man.
A fact.
It's not opinion that you are exploiting people. Like, it's what it is. Like, you can call it an opinion, but it's still fact. So,
because he has to put himself in a position to, we don't know who Timbaland is.
For sure.
So all of those beats that he made with the cricket sounds and weird noises, that was like top notch. Nobody was doing that back then.
Right.
Imagine somebody stole that from you and now it's not yours. And the sound that Timbaland created is now this artificial intelligent computers that another producer took from you and called it his own.
Well,
he has to put himself in that position to actually understand what this is.
I remember there was a little whispering during Timberland's initial ascension that he was, he jacked some styles from some drum and bass cats over in Europe.
That hurts.
But I was like, all right, if he really jacked it, okay, because he was on that run after what he did for Aaliyah's 1 in a Million.
Yep.
And then, because I remember at first Genuine. So he was on a run where it was like, all right, well, once again, there's people saying that, make another Hove.
They were suing people back then for that type of shit too, though.
Yeah,
but not always, right? Because we know people. You know what I mean? Like it's one thing to like try to tackle like imagine somebody who is not out there like that and somebody steals their stuff and they don't really have a good way to kind of defend themselves. Like I'm sure this stuff happens all the time. You know what I mean? But to me, it's just like he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar a lot. And I don't think let me just say me personally, there's no coming back from this from Timbaland for me. Like for others, that's cool, but like to me, it's more than just the stealing of the music. It's like, it's to your point, it's his character. And I just don't vouch with that,
I'll agree with you because like you mentioned before, the crickets and all of this, that, and the third, the shit he was doing back in the day. You know what? In its time, it was cool. That shit was fire, actually. But you live long enough, turn into a villain.
Maybe.
And that shit does not sound good to me no more, man. It all sound like...
You mean if somebody did it today, or those songs have not aged well in Europe?
Those songs have not aged well. You know what I mean?
No, like, I ain't gonna say that.
1 in a Million still slaps.
Yeah.
Some of them do.
1 in a Million, yes, but...
Pony still slaps.
Pony, okay.
Are you that somebody still slaps?
It does not slap to me no more.
Really?
Are you?
Maybe it's because I'm such a fan of Aaliyah.
Yeah. Are you that somebody does not slap to me no more? That little part at the end with the baby crying and shit. Turn the song off before it gets there.
It was definitely a sound of a time.
100% don't slap.
Some of the songs, yeah.
Yeah, there was so much on especially
Timbaland has. I'm not going to discredit him when it comes to that type of thing.
Like anxious. Yeah. All of those are cool. But again, to a point that I made previously,
right?
Because he was dropping some bullshit then too.
Yeah, because dirt off your shoulders is fucking annoying. It sounds like my ears getting stabbed, man. Turn that part off of the song, man. If I could,
it worked back then, man.
And I still think that song slaps. But like I said, I was in my Jay-Z bag, and I'm like, that's the song off of Black Album that I can
skip. Yeah,
I've been saying this for like a decade.
I know.
It's like, but anyways,
lobster and shrimp. I don't want to hear that shit no more.
You don't want to hear Indian flute?
No,
I didn't like that song.
I was just saying that because I didn't care for that song.
Drop. If it was not for the movie with Lil Saint, that song would be bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, man, I don't want to hear that no more. If it's not somebody singing over his production, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I was about to say, because Justin Timberlake got some heat with Timbo.
That's his pocket.
I agree.
His pockets,
the R&B is cool.
Yeah,
the R&B is cool. Spaceship Coupe, still nasty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if nobody is singing on it, I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah.
Ugly, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. But same old G, I can listen to like it's
come on, man.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching the New Old Heads episode 442 with our guest Byron, brother to the night. Maja 7th will be back next week. Make sure you become a Patreon member, patreon.com/newoldheads, and make sure you like and subscribe, do all those things, hit the notifications. We'll see you next week. Peace.
In a minute.
Appreciate y'all.